Okay. Thank you all for coming to this today's class. Today we will enter the last sub CLO. So the first sub CLO was about finite automata, right? The second one was about push down automata, and now the third one is about the Turing machine. This Turing machine actually will we will not go very deep into it. It's just general knowledge, but you will learn a bit about the Turing machine as well. But before we start with the Turing machine, as usual, we will discuss our last post test. So last week we learned about Chomsky normal form. Basically, this is a form of CFG that has some restrictions that are in CNF, we only allowed to have uh, this kind, or wait, A to BC, for example. So on the left side, the production rule, it only contain one non-terminal symbol as the usual CFG. But on the right side, we can only have two non-terminal symbol or only one terminal symbol. Another one that is accepted is from starting symbol, we may have empty string on the right side. So these are three form of production rules that are accepted in CNF. Why CNF is important? Because we can validate input string in 2 to n minus 1 steps only. So there are less possibility or less way to validate an input string if we have grammar in Chomsky normal form. So to convert CFG to CNF, we can have some steps. The first one is delete. The second one is unit. The third one is the term, isn't it? Delete unit term and then bin. Wait, term and then bin, like this. So in delete, you basically delete every epsilon or every empty string rows like this. Because the epsilon or empty string rows only are allowed from the starting symbol. So other than starting symbol, we need to delete it. How we can delete it? We can change it to every possible option we may have. So for example, here we have S to 1BA, it's fine. And then we have A to 0A and also epsilon, and B to 1B or epsilon. So we need to remove these two epsilons. So if we remove this, it means we need to consider every possible solution or every possible combination where epsilon is becoming uh, sorry, if A is empty. So it means we can add this 0A to 0, because 0A, if A is changed into empty string, we only have 0. So if we want to remove it, we need to add possibilities where A become 0. And here also we may only have 1B, where A is changed into 0. Other than that, we want to remove this as well. In this case, B, if it is changed into empty string, then we can have only one. From 1B, here we can have only one. because B is changed into an empty string. From this one B, A, we may only have one A. And from this one B, we may only have one. Okay. And from this one A as well, because of the empty string from A, it can be only one. So here we can remove these two epsilon by adding these rules and these rules. Okay, so now after adding the possibilities where A or B are changed into empty string, we can then remove the epsilon like this. For this step, is there any question? Nothing, yeah. And the next one is unit. For unit, we need to change. Oh, for this case, there is no unit actually. For example, if we have A to B and then B to something, then we will remove A to B. We still keep B to something, but we will add A to something. But in this case, there is no unit uh, production, so we don't really do nothing here. We do nothing in this step because no unit roles. Okay, and then for the third step, it is term. In term, we will change terminal symbol in the right hand side that has the length larger than one. So for example, here we have a non-terminal symbol and the length is larger than one. We will change one here. Here also the length is larger than one and we have not a terminal symbol. Then we need to change this. Also the same goes for this and also this. So for term, we will have to define a new non-terminal symbol. Let's say x is 1 and y is 0, for example. So 1BA can be changed into XBA, and then 1B can be changed into XB, and then this is XA, and the last one is stay the same because the length is only 1. And then from A, we can have Y or 0. And from B, we can have XE or 1, like this. And the last one is bin. For bin, we will change on the right side that has the length of larger than 2. So this will be changed because length is 2 for the terminal symbol and 1 for that only contain terminal symbol. So the only thing will change will become, for example, where C is defined of XB or XA or 1, A stays the same, B is the same, X still 1, and Y is still 0, like this. Okay, any question for an F? Nothing, yeah. Okay, then we can go to the next topic, which is Turing machine. So for the Turing machine, it is, maybe you already know, uh, hello, am I audible? Sorry, the signal was not really good. Okay, so we continue. Um, so Turing machine, it is basically similar to finite automata. It has control mechanism and it reads input on input tape. So it is similar to finite automata. And but here, what is different from FA and also PDA is the head now can move forward and also backward. So we can read input strings, but we can also go back to read the a symbol that has been read before. And also, other than reading, it can write on a tape. So we can change the input string. So Turing machine has finite number of states. It is similar to finite automata. There is an initial state, also similar to finite automata. One of the states is called halting state. So halting state, the machine will stop. So it is different in finite automata in the sense of in finite automata or also push down automata, we will it will accept if we finish the reading and it stops in accepting state, right? But in Turing machine, it will accept it if it ends in a halting state. But actually, halting state doesn't always means it is an accepting state. So in Turing machine, halting state is not the same as accepting state. Not the same in the sense, the first one in accepting state, like what we learned in finite automata and also push down automata. When we reach accepting state, we may still continue to read the input symbol, right? And the string will be accepted if we ends with the reading and it ends in accepting state. But in Turing machine, if it reach halting state, it will stop. So the machine will stop if it reach halting state. And there are two kinds of halting state. We have halting state for reject and halting state for accepting. So it will be accepted, the input string will be accepted if the halting, we reach halting state, even though the reading is not completed yet, and the halting state is an accepting state. But if it is in the halting reject, it means it will stop, but it will be rejected. Okay. If it does never reach halting state, it means it will be error. So the initial state here also could not be the halting state. So the Turing machine has at least two states, one initial state and one halting state. So input state uh, here is similar to the input string on FA and also PDA, because what we have in the tape will be the same as what we have in the input string. And in addition to read operation, the machine can also write to the tape. So in PDA, we have stack. We can write in the stack. It is adopted in the to the machine, but now we write directly to the input tape. And PDA stack only related to pop and push, but now we can rewrite. Input string on FA or PDA never be changed, but here in Turing machine, the input string may be changed. Machine symbol or machine alphabet appears on the input data. We also have tape symbol, which is machine symbol and other symbol. Example for other symbol is blank. Notation for a blank is delta, like this. And this is different with lambda or empty string. Lambda and empty string means uh, we have nothing there, which means the length is 0. But delta length is 1. You can think it as a space. Space is a symbol, right? If you type something, space is a symbol. It is not an empty string. It has the length of 1. So it distinguish between this and this. So here we can write it is as x delta y, but this one is x delta delta y. So there are two deltas between x and y. And in Turing machine actions, we have write and also move. Write means we replace symbol pointed by the head followed by moving to the next state. And move is moving to the left or right of the current head and followed by moving to the next state. These are the transition we may have in Turing machine. So for example, this transition means we are in state P and reading X, and we move to Q, and we change X into Y. So this is transition to right. P move to Q, read X, and change it to Y. But for this, it means we are in state P. We move to Q by reading X, and we move the head tape to the left. And this means we move the head tape to the right. Actually, these are a very, very old uh, notation for the transition. If you read books related to automata or language theory, then you may see three types or three symbols on the right side. So, for example, like this. In so few years ago, we started using this kind of transition. So we are writing and also moving with the same transition. So this means from P, we go to Q by reading X. We rewrite X with Y, and we move the head tape to left or this is left, or we can change it to right. Nowadays, if you see some books or papers related to this Turing machine, you will find this kind of still use the old transition, which can only do writing or moving, but not both in one transition. Okay. So for exams or something like that, you can just use this transition, moving or uh, writing in one step, in one transition. So Turing machine representation is like this. So we still have input tape and we have left end. So left end here means, uh, well, I said that Turing machine can move forward and backward, right? But if we want to move backward, we have limitation that we cannot go backward from the left end. But for the right end, we can always go to the right hand infinite uh, infinite move. So let's say input tape is x, y, x, for example, this is the input string. Then we assume that the rest of it is delta until infinity. Okay, but on the left hand, we don't have anything. We have state indicator again, and we still have head tape. And moving direction can go to the left or to the right. For the right, it's infinity. We can move as many as we want, but to the left, we are limited by the left hand. So there are several conditions that make Turing machine stops. The first one is halting state. So it reach halting state, we can stop the machine. Or the second one is abnormal termination. Halting states mean the machine stops successfully, and abnormal termination means machine stops due to error, such as could not move to the left when the head reaches left end. So remember we have left end here, and because the tape, the head can move forward and backward, it may be in this position and be asked to move to the left. In that case, then we will meet an error. It is abnormal termination. Or we may also have non-terminating loop, which is a condition when the machine never stops, for example, because it moves to the right infinitely. So we see moving to the right, it can be move infinite steps. So if we have a loop where it always goes to the right, it may goes infinity. And in that case, we have non-terminating loop. Uh, for diagram, we still have a circle for the state. And then we have a circle with an incoming arrow as usual for initial state. We have a double circle for halting state. So it is similar to the accepting state. And the transition edge labeled with a pair of symbol separated with a slash. The first part of the symbol pointed by the head, so what we read. And the next part is the machine action, either writing or moving. For example, this is a Turing machine. We start here, and then we have a loop to the same state. And we do the loop if we read A, then we move to the right. If we read B, we move to the right, but we still in the same state. But if we read a blank, we will write it as write overwrite it with a blank, or basically actually doing nothing. And then we go to the halting state. It means we are finished. So this machine is a machine that moves to the right until it reads an delta. Okay, so for example, if we have A, B, B, A, then wait. Sorry. So for example, if we have ABBA in the input string, then we will start here. And then because we are reading A, we will go to this transition. It means we will still have ABBA in the input tape, but we move the head to the right. And then we are still in the same state. We move to, we read B. It means we will move to the right. So it is still ABBA. So for example, the first one, we are in Q0 and it's still in Q0. After we read A, and it's still in Q0 after we read B, but the head point moved to right. And then from here, we are still in Q0 and the uh, input tape is still the same and we move to the right. And here we reading A, it means we are still in Q0. Input string or input tape still the same and we still move to the right. It means we have delta. So even though in the first we don't have delta there, but in Turing machine, when we ends with the input, we assume that we have infinite delta on the right side. Okay. So because we have delta, it means we reach Q1 and it is a halting state, so we stop. Okay. And for example, let's say I change this into delta and I change it into A, just for example, then ABBA, here we start from Q0 and head in A. And because A goes to delta, we change A to delta, then we have we will go to Q1. Then we have A, B, delta BBA, and the head will still in the first symbol. But because we already reached the halting state, it means we ends with the operation and the machine stopped and will not go to error. Okay, does it make sense? Is there any question? Nothing, yeah. And this is another example. This is a machine that moves to the right until it reads an A. So we go to the right if we read delta or B, but if we read A, it will stop. In formal definition, the Turing machine can be written like this. So S is set of states, delta sigma, sorry, is as usual set of a non-blank symbol for a machine alphabet. Gamma is a tape symbol, so it is a set of symbols that can be written on the tape. So delta will be there as well. Delta, small delta is transition function. I is initial state and H is halting state. So for example, here we want to check if the Turing machine will accept this string. So here we will have x, 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 delta, 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 delta. And this means we will start from the first symbol for the head tape. So here we are in Q0. For example, we name it as Q0, Q1, and Q2. We are in Q0. The input tape is still the same. Next, we will go to Q1 and then because we read X, we will go to Q1 because we will do this transition. And then in Q1, what we have in the input tape will be this. Input tape will be the same, but the head tape move to the right. And here from Q1, because we read X here, then we will go to this transition. It means we will go to Q0 and the head tape will move to the right again. And we are in, from Q0, we will go to Q1 because we are reading X. And from Q1, uh, when we, from Q0, because we read X, we will go to Q1 here, and the head tape will go to the right. And in Q1, because we read delta, we will go to the right, and then we go to Q0. So we are here now. And then in Q0, because we read delta, then we will go to Q2 and it is accepted because it is a halting state. So I said before that halting state can have halting reject or halting accept. But in most cases, if it is not written HA or HR, then it means it is an accepting. So because it is not written here, then it is an accepting one. Okay, is there any question? No, yeah. Next, let's say we want to design a Turing machine with tape symbol X, Y, and delta, and the machine will accept pattern X, Y, X, Y. So if we only want to design a specific machine that accept X, Y, X, Y, then we can just easily write if we read X, then we'll go to the right. If we read uh, Y, we continue to the right. And if we read X, we will continue to the right. And then if we read Y, we will continue to the right. And after that, if it is delta, then we can accept it. Go to the halting state. Okay. If you have any question, feel free to interrupt me. Next, let's say we want to design a Turing machine that change the last digit to 1 if it is 0. Then only change to 1 if it is 0. So it means, so for example, if I have like this, then it will be changed into this. But if it is 0, then it will be changed into 1. But if it is this, for example, then it will be the same. Okay, this is what we do. In this case, then we will need to go to the rightmost of the input tape. It means we will move to the right every time we read 0 or 1, because our goal first is go to the rightmost of the input. And if we have reached the rightmost, which means we read delta, we will go back to the last symbol. So we will move to the left. because, for example, if we have this as the input tape, then we will need to go to the rightmost until we find a delta. And if we reach delta, we will go back to the last symbol. So we need to go to the left. And we check if the last symbol is 1. Sorry. If the last symbol is 0, then we will change it to 1 and we have a halt. We may also write if we have 1, then we just doing nothing. It still be a 1. Any question? Nothing. So there are several types of Turing machine actually. The first one is two-way infinite tape. So as I mentioned before, in the original Turing machine, the regular one, we have left end in the input tape. So if we reach this, we cannot go to the left. But the right side is infinite. But in two-way infinite tape, it means the left side is infinite as well. So we can go to the left infinite steps. We can go to the right infinite steps as well. Next, for multi-track, the machine has more than one track on the tape. And the symbols located on the same column will be read simultaneously by the head. So in this case, in this type, we have several track, which means the input tape has several track here, and we still have a head tape, and the head can read every symbol in the same column. So we have three actions in the same time. For multi-tape, in the multi-tape Turing machine, the machine has several tapes, and each tape can be read independently, and each tape has its own head, and it's independent to other heads. So, for example, we have it like this. We have three tapes here, and for each tape, if in the multi-track, we only have one head. So one head will read everything in the same column. But in multi-tape, for each tape, we have one head. And it can move independently in the sense that if this head tape stays, it may be moved to the left or the right. This also can be moved to the left or the right. And the last one is multi-head, similar to multi-tape Turing machine, but this machine only has one tape. So it only has one tape, but the head is more than one. So we can have several actions, but in one tape. These variations of Turing machine is useful when we talk about non-deterministic Turing machine. In some state and also symbol pair, there are more than one possible action. And the non-deterministic machine MN can also be simulated by a deterministic machine MD, but not the original one, not the standard one, but it is in the multi-tape type. The rationale, how can we simulate this, is for each state and tape symbol, MN may have more than one finite number of action. okay, in one state to another state, and to another state as well, we may have a finite number of possible transitions. And in this case, let's say the possible action we can have for one state, or a pair of state and also symbol, we have k possibilities, k possible actions. So we numbered them, and with this numbering, the series of action of Turing machine can be expressed as a series of numbers from 1 to k. So for example, uh, I have this here. We go, if I read A, we move to right, for example. And here, if we read B, we will go to halting, for example. But if we read A, we also can change it to B, for example. And if we read A again, we will, let's say, move to the left. In this case, here we have non-deterministic. If we read A in the current state, we may go to the right, or we may change it to a B. This is a non-deterministic uh, Turing machine. But the options we may have, it will be finite in a finite number. So we will name it as, for example, this is the first one, this is the two. And for this step, this is one, for example. And this is also one, because we have, uh, I mean, this is not related to this one, so we can have one. So for example, I number it as one, one. Sorry, this is two. And then this is one, for example. So the series of actions here means we may have one, we may have two, one. This means we will go to this direction, but this means we will go to this direction. Okay, so we number the possible actions. So we can have a series of transitions that we may go for the non-deterministic Turing machine. So to simulate the non-deterministic to deterministic, we will use three tapes. The first one is to store MN, process the input that will not be changed during the simulation. The second one, we copy the same one, but it can be changed during the simulation. And the third one is to store the series of number 1 to k, which are generated sequentially. So we will list every possible uh, sequence of actions that may be have by the machine. This is in the third tape. So first tape is the input tape, and we will not change it. The second one is the copy of the first one, but we may change it. And the third one is the series of actions. So how can we do it? Is from the first tape, we will copy it to the second tape, and then we will read the uh, sequence of actions, and we will simulate it on the second tape. And if it is not accepted, then we will go to the next possible option in the third tape. We will copy back whatever we have in the first tape to the second tape, and then we will uh, check or simulate again the second option of series of actions to the second tape and so on until we either ends with the possible actions or reach the halting state. Okay, this is what I told you before. So Turing machine, there is something called decider Turing machine. That is a Turing machine that always make decision whether accept or reject. Accepting means it is in the halting state, but an accepting one, and reject means it goes to halting state, but a rejecting one. It is difficult to distinguish the machine that need long time to finish the process and also machine on an infinite loop, because just like a program, if it runs very long, there are two options, right? It really need a long time to end, or we reach infinite loop, which means the program will never end. So preferable, we have a Turing machine that holds on all input, so we don't have any infinite loop. It can be in the form of non-deterministic machine, in which each branch ensures that it can reach halting state for each possible input. Then for Turing machine, as in finite automata, we may also have combination. So we can build a big Turing machine based on several smaller Turing machine, like just like in finite automata. We can concatenate two Turing machines. Concatenate means if we have M1, we have M2, then we will concatenate it, which means after we finish with the first machine, we will continue to the next machine. How to do it? This is the first machine, this is the second machine. In finite automata, we just remove the accepting state symbol from the first one, and we have epsilon, right? Similarly, here we remove the halting symbol from the first machine, and we do nothing by we move to the next state by doing nothing. Doing nothing means read every possible symbol and um, rewrite it with the same symbol. So basically, we do nothing. It is similar to epsilon in finite automata. Okay, that is concatenation. Or we may have combination. Combination means we may be in the first machine, for example, but here, if current symbol is A, then we will go to the second machine. If the current symbol is B, then we will go to the third machine, for example. Think it as a procedure where we have one procedure and it is followed with the second procedure if some condition exists, or go to the other procedure else in other conditions. So for example, this is the first machine, this is the second one, this is the third one, where this machine is move one cell to the right, whatever we read. In this machine, we find the first X. So uh, we move to the right, and then after that we find the X. Then we halt. Other than X, we still try to find the X. So it is find the first X on the right of the current cell. This is to find the first Y on the right of current cell. So from the current cell, we move one to the right, whatever we read, and we want to find Y before we stop. And combination here, we see from the first one, the first machine, if current symbol is X, we will go to the second machine. If current symbol is Y, we will go to the uh, third machine, for example, and we do nothing to go to halting state. Or otherwise, we just go to the halting state. So imagine it as a one procedure. If some condition, we go to a second procedure. If other condition, we go to the third procedure. Otherwise, we just end. And because to draw a Turing machine in detail, it will uh, take a lot of effort. We can use something called a building block. For analogy, if we write or we want to write a computer program, we can design it first. And the design, it consists of several modules and also submodules. And when we design it, we won't think about the details in the submodules, right? For example, I just want to swap. Well, I just say swap without saying the detail, writing the detail of the swap procedure, for example. In that case, we can just draw a building block like this. This means if uh, it means we first do the first procedure, which is A. We do A, and after we finish with A, if we are in X, then we will move to B. If we are in Y, the head position is in Y, then we will move to C. So it is similar to this combination. This is A, and this is A. If we read X, we will go to B. If we read Y, we will go to C. Okay, like this. So for convention, this is a symbol uh, where for all symbol other than X. And if we have this, so we concatenate machine A to B and also to C, then we can just write it as ABC. It means machine A concatenate with B, concatenate with C. And this is another notation. This means we will store the values in the head, which is can be X, Y, or Z, to a new symbol or variable called omega. We can write it like this. And here it is a notation, a building block for we start with M1, and after we finish with M1, if we read X or Y, we will store it in a variable called omega. We continue with M2, and then if we are in the position where we read omega, where omega is whatever we store before, then we will go back to M1. And the third one is we do M1 first, and if current head points to X, then we will go to M2. Other than that, we will go to M3. So uh, these are basic operations. that can be written in the building block. Building block. So Turing machine basic elements in building block is move the head to the left or to the right, and also write a symbol. Right. This is moving to the right, whatever we read. This is moving to the left for whatever we read, and this is right X for whatever we read. So this machine in building block can be just written as R. This machine in building block can just be written as L. And this machine in the building blocks can be written just X. Then this one is a building block where we move to the right, and if we read Y, we still move to the right. If we read delta, we still move to the right. Or we can say it is a machine that move from current head to the right until it finds X. And we can write it as Rx, like this. So we move to the right until we find X. This is the notation for this machine. So similarly, this will be a notation for moving to the right until we find a symbol other than X. And this is a machine where we move to the left until we find X. And this is a symbol for a machine where we move to the left until we find a symbol that is not an X, like this. Okay. So this is the building block for the previous machine. So for Rx, it is moving to the right until we find X. Negation X means we move to the right until we find something that is not X. This is for Lx, and this is for L not X. This is another building block, and this one is for shifting all non-blank symbols on the left of current head position. This is the building block. So it means we we change current one into delta, and then we move to the left. If we find a delta, then we will go to the right and ends. But if we find x or y, we will store it to omega. Then we will go to the left. If we find a delta, then we will move to the right, rewrite it with delta, move to the right until we find delta, and then write whatever we store before. But if we find x or y, then we will store it to another variable. And then we will move to the right one time and then write delta, which is whatever symbol we store before, and then move to the left and go back to this procedure. For example, if what I have is xy, for example, or maybe I will go with delta y first. And this is the current head, for example. Then in this case, we will do delta, which means we will change y into a delta. And we still in this position for the head. And then we will do a left, which means we will go to the left. The head will go to the left. And it finds a delta, which means we will go to right. So next, we will go to the right, like this. So we ends with this position. Look here, we want to shift all non-blank symbols on the left of current head position, but there is no non-blank symbol here. So actually, we are not shifting anything. We just change current symbol into a delta. But if we have, for example, x, y, this is the current head, the current symbol. It means from here, we will do delta, which means we will have it like this. And we still in this position. And then we will go L, which means we will have the same tape, but the position is moved to the left. And we found an X. It means we will go to this. X is stored as omega. And then we move to the left. So here we have delta, right? So next, if we find delta, then we will do R, which means we are in this position, and then we will do delta, which means X will be changed into delta, but we are still in the same position. And then we move to the right until we find a delta. So from here, we move to the right until we find a delta, which is here, and we write it with omega. So we write it with omega, which we start before, it is an x. So we have shift this to this. Whatever non-blank symbol we have on the left, we shift it one position to the right. Okay, that's how you do the blocks. Or let's say now we have a longer one, x, y, y, for example. Then this we start with delta first, for example. So here we do the first machine. We we are in this position, for example. So from here we have delta, overwrite it with delta, and then we do L, which means we move to the left. Next, because we find y, then we will store y to omega. Next, we will do left, which means we are now in this position. We read an x, so we will store it to a sigma. Next, we do r, which means we are in y right now. We overwrite it with sigma, so it is an x. And then we move to the left. Sorry, we are still in this position. And then now we move to the left. Okay, and from here, we go back and we go move to the left again. So we are here now and we found delta. So we will do R. We will go to the right. We change it to delta. We will move to the right until we found delta. So we will move to the right until we found delta. And then here we change it into omega, which is a y, like this. So we shift it from this position into this position. But that's how you read a building block. But in detail, if you draw the Turing machine, this means you will have combination. That is, if in a state, then you read X, you will go to a machine. If you read Y, you will go to a machine. Basically, these two machines are the same, but here is for the case where you read X, and here is for the case where you read Y. Uh, but the machine will the same. But when you need to write omega, here you will write X, but here you will write a Y. Okay, so it will be difficult if you write or draw a Turing machine. So it's easier if you draw a building block instead. And this is if you want to shift all non-blank symbols on the right of current position. This is on the left of current position, but this is on the right. It will have similar, but a bit different. That's all for this topic. So actually, uh, we have three topics, including today, which is Turing Machine Part 1, Turing Machine Part 2, and also NP problem. But because I don't really want to have a class on Christmas week, so I combine Turing Machine 2 into this week, and also some of it will be discussed in next week. So next week we will have our last class will also be held online. We will talk about NP problem. So this is about complexity and can be checked by using Turing machine. That's why we will discuss half of it in next week. And that will be our last topic for this course. Okay. And for today, you will have a post test as usual. You can check it on LMS. There you will need to build a Turing machine, design a Turing machine. But because the I think the Turing machine is not really difficult, so you don't really need to use this building block. You can just use the usual one like this or this, just like what we have here, for example. Okay, and for this sub CLO, we don't have quiz, so there is no pretest, as you may aware. We don't have pretest for this week and also next week. You only have a post test. And I will give you a quiz for sub CLO2 about pushdown automata. I will give you later, sometimes early next week. and I will announce it to you if it is ready. Okay, any question? If no, we will have attendance list. Okay, please scan the QR code. Or we'll stop the recording also.